to 𝓵𝓪𝓻𝓆. I really want to use more of my vintage style, which this is something that I've thrifted, this glass. And I also want to be a little bit more resourceful. I also want to use already the things that I have in the house. This time of year, though, brings in a lot of tea. We use them for these, and we're actually using them to create this wonderful concoction. They're amazing, and they're super quick. We love them so much. And then I brought my crock pot out to give it a good scrub, and I don't keep it out at all in the summer. It's really just a seasonal thing that I use it. Choir has picked up again, so choir singing, so that's been really illuminating. I really enjoy that. I'm always so amazed how the season, when it does change, 6 p.m., it's completely dark. So we're really moving into that darkness, which it starts around around 3:30 in later October, November, and then in December it'll start turning again. I've been putting the garden to sleep. It's been a lot of work. I just been doing little bits at a time. I've been doing a really slow pace at it because I'm also trying to enjoy the season. I go out and sit and look around. I do have to do some journaling where I want to do some planting. And then I will have a lot to do in the inside. I want to wash all the windows, scrub the floors, do dusting, and some painting. And then do a lot of cleaning. It should be spring cleaning, but it's going to be winter cleaning. And I have a few things that I'm leaving out this year. And this is the garden furniture. The weather's been so beautiful still. And I'm going to just wait to after Halloween. So normally between June and November is when I have all the summer things out. And it just depends on the season, what things are doing and how much I take out at a time and how much I bring in. Do you like to save all of my cuttings? I like to mulch with them, so I dry them. I have a little bit of an area through the season that I just put everything, and then I use it for wintering my plants. And I say that because the garden is filled with very small young plants, and they are thriving. Some of them are moving slower than the others, and part of that is because I've moved them around. I haven't really started any bread baking, but I did think it was fun to make a few taffy apples, and they were so good. I have to tell you, the apples were just so yummy. There was a whole bunch that was on sale, so I got a lot of different varieties, so it was really lovely to enjoy them. My Pinterest this time is still really going into the fashions that I love in the 70s, even the makeup. I love the earthy tones and the natural hair. This is one of those photos, and this was so cute. This was something to do with vintage shopping, and I liked how they were antiquing and they had their sweaters on and hats. That's another look that I'm really looking forward to, is trying to get more sweaters. I do walk with the cane, and I just loved this imagery where she's just kind of casually walking out. I think you can start to dress up your summery clothes with carrying baskets, having a scarf and a hat before you start bringing out the sweaters and the winter jackets. I think a lot of times we tend to still wear those sweatshirts. I do have one for the garden that I use, but I really want to try to get into wearing sweaters and gloves and scarves rather than always wearing maybe a sweatshirt, which isn't very fashionable, and maybe until I get into that wintry cold season with jackets. And this was another look I really liked. I like all this print, and I think that's more from the 80s. This was very cute. I always tie a few leaves around in the house, and also for hair, I think just very loose with some clips would be really nice for my autumn look. And as we're moving into the December, I'm going to try some velvet bowls and also making more cinnamon buns, I think is going to be my theme. These were some of the ideas I thought would be really nice for pumpkins rather than traditional jack-o'-lanterns, just maybe adding some vegetables to make some sort of crazy looking faces. I think I've always wanted one of these little trees. That's something that I'm going to be thinking about. You can even make them yourself. You can use a branch, and that was something I'm thinking about, where you can hot glue, and then you can have even a little wooden bottom where you can make your own tree. So I may try to do that. I think I'm going to do it more in the winter and have it a seasonal winter tree, and then I'll use it for autumn, and then I'll bring it in for winter and also for Valentine's Day. That barn was absolutely gorgeous. I have never seen such a beautiful painting on a barn. We have a lot of barns like that, so I really wanted to focus on that as a nice imagery for autumn. And these vintage costumes I think would be fun to make. And this is kind of the idea of what I do for decorating, bringing in my harvest, using natural items, and ribbon is so wonderful. This was my favorite look for the front door. So these are the kinds of things that I'm thinking about for gathering. And I do have some of a stash in the basement where I've been storing some of my favorite branches. So I think at some point I'm going to start taking them out and making some arrangements that I can just use seasonally. And again, that tree, I want to make a little tree ornament as well. I hope you found some inspiration.